Good morning again. Welcome to this QED conference on electrifying road transport. My name is Arno Behrens. I'm head of energy at the Center for European Policy Studies, and it's my pleasure to take you through this first panel today on passenger cars. Ladies and gentlemen, as you know, greenhouse gas emissions have decreased in all economic sectors of the European Union since 1990, and transport is the only sector where greenhouse gas emissions continue to increase. As a result, emissions now have reached levels of about a quarter of EU greenhouse gas emissions, and this of course has a climate change impact, but also Europe continues to be heavily dependent on oil and oil products. In 2010, for example, oil accounted for 94% of energy in transport and mobility, which raises questions about the security of our energy supplies, as well as related costs and price risks. As you know, the European Commission in 2011 published a white paper on transport with a target of reducing greenhouse gas emissions by 60% until 2050 compared to 1990 levels. This translates into a reduction of 70% as opposed to 2008 or current levels, let's say. And at a recent CEPS task force on transport and climate change, stakeholders agreed that this target is realistic and achievable. But they also agreed that technical improvements will be key to reach these targets. To be more precise, about 2/3 of the required emissions reductions will need to be achieved by technology improvements coming mainly from 5 technological options, including energy efficiency, also of the combustion engine, electric and hybrid vehicles, an issue we'll be discussing today, of course fueled with electricity that largely comes from low-carbon energy sources. Hydrogen is a third option, again coming from low-carbon energy sources. The fourth option would be gas vehicles fueled by natural gas or biogas. And finally, of course, biofuels with an overall positive greenhouse gas emissions balance. Now, QED 2 months ago convened a conference on emission standards in transport. And in this CEPS task force I was talking about before, we agreed that such standards are certainly the best way to reduce carbon emissions from cars in a technology-neutral way, meaning that the winning low-carbon technologies would be chosen by market fundamentals rather than by political choice. And of course, while electrification is by many seen as the silver bullet for decarbonizing the transport sector, it's proceeding still rather slowly. Of course, there are several benefits to electric transport. Electric vehicles can be supplied by electricity from the grid, coming increasingly from low-carbon energy sources. Electric vehicles can also support the integration of variable renewable energy sources because flexible recharging can balance or absorb ample supply or too low demand for electricity from variable renewable energy sources. Electric vehicles emit hardly any pollutants or noise, which makes them very useful in an urban context. And finally, they can reduce fuel costs and other operating costs compared to conventional cars. So really, there's a host of advantages. However, currently market developments of electric vehicles and, in fact, other alternative fuels are still held back by technological shortcomings, by commercial shortcomings, by lack of consumer acceptance and lack of adequate infrastructure. So I think it's almost a historical joke that some of the first vehicles were actually electric vehicles in the 1830s, and they were increasingly replaced by the combustion engines for a reason that, despite huge technological advances, are still too obvious for us today, which was the driving range was too limited and recharging them took too long. So it's now my pleasure to introduce to you 4 distinguished speakers of this first panels who will discuss with us on how to overcome some of these obstacles for the development of electric cars, how to make market respond to targets related to the sort of upscaling or large-scale rollout of electric vehicles, and finally, or maybe most importantly, on how to better integrate power sectors and the transport sector in order to achieve a sustainable, secure and competitive energy and transport sector in the European Union.